Hey, what's up guys? Bajheera here. Now for this video, we're going to be taking a look at Revelation Online. And this is the game that I've heard a lot of people asking me about, so I'm very grateful to my.com and Revelation Online for sponsoring this video and giving me a chance to share some gameplay and first impressions with you guys. So first off, Revelation Online is a free-to-play MMORPG game that offers a rich storyline and robust PvP and PvE content to enjoy as well. What I'm mainly going to be focusing on in this video is just taking a look at character creation and my first experiences with the game. I definitely recommend that you guys check out the link in the description though to learn more about Revelation Online and give it a try for yourself. So Revelation Online has 6 different classes, all that have a variety of different play styles, differing from each other, but also within their own class. So not only does this give you a ton of options in terms of how you want to play the game, it also allows you to switch things up on the fly depending on what your group might need for PvP or PvE content. So the first example of this that we're going to see is the Occultist. And the Occultist brings a combination of magical attack, healing, and support to the table. Debuffing opponents, healing, and buffing allies, all the while dealing magical damage on top of it, Occultist seems like a natural addition to any PvP or PvE party. That being said, I'm sure a class like this, which features healing, damage, and powerful buffs and debuffs, would certainly be able to hold its own in solo PvE or PvP content as well. The Spirit Shaper is another excellent example of a class that can bring both attack and defense to a party. Now compared to the Occultist, the Spirit Shaper definitely doesn't have the same amount of support and control in terms of buffs and debuffs, but what the Spirit Shaper does offer is strong healing and revive to their teammates. The Spirit Shaper also has the ability to summon powerful allies like a Yeti to pummel opponents for massive AoE damage. With only a 3-star difficulty, the Spirit Shaper might not be the hardest character to play, but the massive AoE damage and healing the Spirit Shaper brings to the table cannot be denied. This seems like the perfect class for someone who likes to play a healing role, but isn't afraid to dish out some pain of their own. It seems like Revelation Online still likes that holy trinity of healer, tank, DPS style, but it offers a lot of mobility within each class to fill those different roles. And while I say that, our next class to look at is the Vanguard, which definitely seems to be leaning very heavily towards being a pure tank role. That's not to say that Vanguard can't dish out some damage, but when you just look at its stat sheet, its defense is off the chart. Literally. Unsurprisingly, the Vanguard boasts high HP and excellent survivability, and deals primarily physical damage. As I mentioned before, the Vanguard is ideal for the tanking role, not only for its survivability, but also for the fact that it deals a ton of AoE damage and brings some control to the table as well, to not only survive the mob hits, but also keep them in line. So if you're the kind of player that likes to be right in the middle of the action, dealing AoE damage and controlling the fight, it seems like the Vanguard is perfect for you. And the Vanguard definitely seems like an awesome class to try out in my opinion. But the one that I decided to go with, spoiler alert, is the Blade Master. It seems to me like the Blade Master is the go-to class for a high physical damage, high control, while still maintaining some tankiness playstyle. Similar to how the Vanguard had an extremely high defense stat, take a look at the Blade Master's group attack and control stats. Once again, literally off the charts. The cool thing about Blade Master is they can swap between offensive and defensive playstyles, depending on what the situation calls for, and I feel like this definitely makes them an ideal candidate for any sort of PvE or PvP party once again. And even though Blade Master does have that 5-star difficulty, I feel like Blade Master is a class that, if learned and played well, can be devastating in every aspect of the game. Solo, group, PvE, PvP. Blade Master boasts the versatility that in the hands of a skilled player could be devastating. So I think Blade Master is an excellent choice for those players who like that physical melee damage dealing style, and if they're up for a challenge, can become a force to be reckoned with. Now on the other side of the spectrum, we have the Gunslinger, a ranged damage dealer that pumps out massive single target damage while controlling the rest of the battlefield. And while the Gunslinger does specialize in single target attack and boasts a huge stat as a result of it, they also have quite a few really powerful AoE attacks, so keep that in mind as well. In my mind, Gunslinger does seem perfect for any sort of PvE group. Being able to pump huge single target damage into the bigger, stronger monsters while being able to control and also AoE some of the weaker mobs seems perfect. It also seems pretty terrifying in a PvP environment where the Gunslinger is going to be able to use their control to keep their opponents at range, all the while dishing out massive physical damage. Keep in mind that the gunslinger can summon pets to distract opponents, and even equip a giant mech suit for those especially sticky situations. So if you like that sniper-style role, where you can terrorize the battlefield from afar, it seems to me that the gunslinger would be a perfect choice for you. Another ranged option that features more of magical attack rather than just physical is the Sword Mage. Boasting a ridiculous group attack stat, the Sword Mage uses magical abilities to devastate the battlefield from afar. Unlike the other casters we've seen so far, the Sword Mage brings little to no support at all. I'm actually laughing a little bit because on the little chart, it looks like it has negative support. This is an all-out offensive character. It does feature a 4-star difficulty, and I imagine that has something to do with the amount of control the Sword Mage has as well. Since it is a ranged class, the Sword Mage definitely benefits from attacking its opponents from far away. So fortunately, it has enough tools at its disposal to keep its opponents at range. So if raw magical damage and control is the name of the game for you, I think Sword Mage may be your class. And once you've got an idea of which class is right for you, we can step into the insane amount of character customization Revelation Online offers to create an epic or terrifying character, as you may see in a moment. So as I mentioned earlier, I decided to make a Blade Master, and that was my first experience in terms of going through the character creation menu. As you'll find, they have a lot of presets to work with, and that's often a good place to get you started. The possibilities are nearly limitless. Of course, I'm looking at the different face and tattoo options right here. But as you can see from initially the presets, you have a lot of choices you can make with your characters, like physique. You can make them really tall, a little bit short, really stocky, really skinny, all those sorts of things. But one of the funniest things for me to do is always go and mess with all the different facial options, because you learn a lot about body language when you see people making all these different expressions depending on how you decide to do their eyebrows or their eyes or things like that. So that's always a lot of fun. And just because I sort of saw where this was going, I decided to make a character that's really struck fear into my own heart, but also, you know, couldn't help but laugh at just a little bit. And as I'm creating this character, I definitely encourage you guys to click the link in the description, check out Revelation Online, get into the character creation options, and share with me your proudest creations on Twitter. And I'll let you know, there's a special place in my heart for the especially terrifying characters that are created. But one of the coolest things about Revelation Online is that your character creation options are pretty much only limited by your creativity, and I'm really curious to see what you guys would come up with. So what I did right here is I found a character that I pretty much liked, I saved his appearance, and then I wanted to go to the randomize tab just to show you guys, you know, some of the things that you can do just by clicking the randomize button. Ultimately though, I decided to go with this lovely chap right here, who I decided to name, somewhat aptly I think, Lord Voldemort. Now at first the game did not appreciate me naming He Who Shall Not Be Named, so I just took out the space and then everything was fine. Keep in mind that this is just a first impressions video, an early look, and so I have not pushed deeply into the game of Revelations Online. But what I can do is share with you some of the things that I thought were cool from my first playthrough, and things that you guys can look forward to if you decide to give Revelation Online a try. And the first thing I'm interested in, of course, is the PvP tab. So from what I understand, Revelation Online offers pretty much every kind of PvP that you can find in an MMO game. It's got duels, it's got open world PvP, it's got things called battlefields, which is like a 10v10 bracket. It features arenas, but it also features massive scale castle sieges and things like that. So for a PvP player, there seems like there's tons of things to do in Revelation Online. And from a PvE perspective, of course you have the basics. You've got the leveling experience, which so far has been a lot of fun. I feel like it leads you on pretty quickly in terms of the quests you need to do. I've never really found myself to be very lost, because I feel like the leveling process is very story driven, which has been fun. And the combat, of course, is pretty fast paced. You're able to dash around, constantly unlocking new abilities, I feel like. And also, did I mention that you can fly? So you have like a sort of dashing, jumping, floating mechanic style flying that allows you to get around the world really, really quickly. And speaking of the world doesn't have like loading zones, basically. It's an open world, so you can pretty much run or fly across the entire world without ever having to deal with a loading screen. And that's super nice for an MMO. It makes everything feel so much more of an open, active world. But you can also unlock actual wings to really fly around the world, and that is how you get around, and where the seamless loading zone free aspect of the world really shines. And I'm pretty sure this quest just wanted you to go and drop off like a piece of food for somebody, but I spent a little extra time floating around and enjoying the scenery, and I really liked the flight style in Revelation Online. And one of the things that I don't generally like about flying in MMOs is the fact that it discourages like world PvP. Basically, a lot of times, you know, if all the combat takes place on the ground, people just fly up in the air and avoid it. But in Revelation Online, there's aerial combat as well, so you enjoy all the fun of being able to swoop over the world, see the sights, but also you can engage in battle in the air as well. Another really cool thing that I found about Revelation Online was these little solo raids that we got to do in the beginning. I think part of this is teaching you to you know, dodge certain attacks or be able to single out certain enemies for DPS, but I get the feeling that these solo raids are one of those things that continues on throughout the game and obviously become increasingly more difficult. So even though Revelation Online is an MMO, I think that players will really enjoy finding things that they can do on their own time, by themselves, not requiring a 5-man group or even a larger raid to really get involved in some fun PvE content. I think having a wide variety of things to do is definitely one of the strong points of Revelation. Their emphasis on customization and on playing the class the way you want, playing the game the way you want, really makes me think that Revelation Online's intention is to put the power in the hands of the players so you can have the adventure and gameplay experience you want in Revelation Online. So once again, the game is in open beta right now. It's free to play, and we'll have links in the description for you guys to check it out if you want to. My first couple hours playing this game have been a lot of fun. I know I'm not very far into the game, but so far the leveling process has been super smooth. Like I said earlier, I've never gotten lost or anything like that. It feels very story-driven to me, and learning the mechanics has been a lot of fun. Like I said before, I think Revelation Online offers a wide variety of PvE and PvP content, both group and solo, and we haven't even scratched the surface in this video. So if Revelation looks like fun, definitely be sure to click the links in the description and give the game a try. So once again, I want to give a huge shout out to my.com and Revelation Online for sponsoring this video and giving me a chance to check out a game that a lot of you guys have been asking me about. And frankly, a game that I think a lot of you guys will enjoy. Now, if you'll excuse me, I must follow this majestic beast because it's probably the best thing I've ever seen in a video game. Thanks for watching, guys, and we'll see you next time. Peace!